I'm Sarah Katz, but you can call me Skatz. Welcome to Skatz Chats, a show about mental wellness, relationships, and anything else in life. Whether I'm chatting with friends or sharing my own life lessons with you, I hope you discover something inspiring. Let's dive into today's episode of Skatz Chats audience. It has been just about a year and a half since I have recorded an episode. So thank you for sticking with me. And I'm so happy that you're here. If you are watching this on YouTube, I might look a little bit frumpy. And you know what? I'm sick. I'm under the weather. So the one thing I want to bring into this new season is authenticity. And I'll share a little bit about that in a moment. But you might even hear it in my voice too, that I sound a little bit sick. But to be honest, I have thought about this day of bringing back my podcast for so long. Obviously, since it's been over like a year and a half, right? Since like mid 2023. And I thought about, making a big plan, making a big release, a whole big launch date that I was going to work towards. I was going to update the website, like do a little social media campaign thing, a little like countdown situation. And just with how my life has been progressing in other areas of my life and, other hobbies and things, I just don't have time for that. And I really wanted to bring this back because I love this. This is a personal creative outlet for me. Skatz Chats has started as a personal project in COVID. If you've been with me since season one, when I was also doing solo episodes, it was something that kind of came out of COVID. And I was thinking, well, I want to have an outlet to share some of my own natural spark and positivity for folks who need it during that hard time, And it was either going to be a podcast or a YouTube channel. And I thought that just an audio podcast would be less work. And so the theme of making this less work for myself, here we are. I'm just going to bring raw authenticity to you. I don't plan on editing these. And if you maybe recall in season one, I honestly wrote out a whole entire script of what I wanted to say. Now I just have little tiny, like a little notepad, with some bullets so I can make sure that I cover everything that I want to say, right? But just bringing authenticity to the table would help me also to not make this passion project so much of a lift, of a pain in the butt for me, to be quite honest with you. And it would just bring more joy and more, I guess, just genuity, if that's the right word, more genuity to this passion project, which I want it to be. And I created this to be able to, share positivity with others and inspire people to create positive change in their life. And I think by making this podcast just more raw and authentic, I think I could bring a fresh perspective. Not a fresh perspective. What's the phrase I'm looking for? See, no editing. I'm not going to do any editing. Bring just like a fresh vibe and more sincerity into what I want to convey. So I can't believe this day's here. Like I said, I've thought about so many times how I want to do it. Like, do I want to, how do I want to like pose this new season 3 or whatever? And I just got to do it. I can't overthink. Maybe you out there have wanted to start a project and you want it to be so, so, so perfect to where it just gets too overwhelming in your head and you don't start it. That's essentially my same thought process to how I was approaching this new season as well. So I'm just doing it. You know what? We just finished up Christmas. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday season as well. And I got home from spending the night at my mom's and I was like, I just feel so much love and joy and inspiration from this season, of course. And I want to share some thoughts that I've had just in the past couple of days. And, this, like I mentioned, this is my outlet. And, oh, but it's not perfect yet. Oh, no, I didn't make the whole, social media post. Oh, I didn't create anticipation for this new launch. Who cares? Just like record the episode. So that's what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Anyways, yeah, just here is true, raw, authentic me. I have my just hair up in a bun. Like I don't have any makeup on. I'm sick. This is my new room, which we'll get into in a moment, but just want to bring authentic energy to you. So I hope you can feel that. And I know it's been just about a year and a half, so I want to give a quick update on what's been happening. As you could see from hopefully maybe you've seen season two, which was more of like an interview style season that we did. You saw that it was a different space from what my background looks like now. So, an update, I have moved out of home technically for I've been out here for a year and a half. I'm living in West LA. And you may know that I'm originally from the San Fernando Valley, which I was living before. Now I'm in West LA, which is closer to my work. I have been working at my same agency in advertising for over 3 years, which is exciting. And got a promotion like a year and a half ago there. So, working my way up. I do love my job. I feel like I'm really good at it, and I've met a lot of great people along the way too. And you also may recall that I have one main hobby, which is singing barbershop quartet style music. I know I have a lot of friends on here who may be watching this episode right now who are in the same hobby with me, and it's something that I started when I was essentially an infant. I was born into this particular hobby and genre of singing, and it's been on both sides of my family, which is pretty cool. My dad has been in a group, my aunts, my grandparents, and my great grandparents as well have all sung this genre of music. So it's pretty cool to be involved with my family in this way. And of course, over the years, over my now 27 years of age, I have made so many friends and am in a couple of groups myself, and just have had wonderful experiences there. Um, some other side projects too. I am a social media ambassador for Jazzercise LA. And if you don't know what Jazzercise is, you may have heard of it. You're thinking, have I heard that from the 80s? Yes, you have. I think it started in like the 80s, and it's in a specific type of aerobics. Like think of Zumba, like class group aerobics, but it's to pop music, it's not to Latin music. And there's a lot more strength training. Part of the classes focus on abs and legs and glutes and whatever. And my roommate, who I met through the barbershop singing hobby, now, of course, just more than a friend in that regard, she has been an instructor for a long time, even before she moved out here. And her mom was an instructor too. And so I was like, you know what? I want to get back into my workout routine and like find something that I like. And so I went to a class with her a couple of times, and I was like, I really like this. And so I, I mean, I don't want to tell you the whole like spiel or anything, but it's something that I was able to hook up with the owner there, and I create some social media content for them. So that's been a lot of fun. I've been doing that for like maybe 6 months now. Been on some workout journey, with that and some Pilates. And I also do social media for one of my singing groups as well. So, all of this stuff. I have a lot on my plate, And going back to the whole starting this podcast back up, like I don't have a lot of time to make it a whole huge project. You know what I mean? And I think to kind of peel back the curtain even more with you, friends, is last season I was pushing on this podcast a lot. And I really, really enjoyed doing the interview format because I got to learn something too out of what my interview guests were talking about. And I noticed in watching back those episodes, I was like, wow, they had a lot to share, but I didn't really share anything as they were sharing things. I was kind of more of the interviewer and they were the interviewee, just mainly giving a lot of the content, which was great. Of course, you know, having other people, just having a conversation with someone else, anyone else besides you can have more different and diverse ideas and thoughts that create a conversation. That's essentially what creates a conversation is two brains coming together, having different thoughts and kind of not debating on those thoughts, but kind of ping-ponging back and forth with sharing your experience and your thoughts at the same, time in a conversation. So, but it, like I said, to peel back the curtain, I think in season two, I really, really wanted to make money off of this podcast. I did. I wanted it to be a side hustle. And I wanted to get enough viewers and listeners and like get my numbers up so that way I can start advertising from this platform. And advertising is my industry, I that's what I do professionally. And I was like, you know what? That's just not authentic. That this is not sustainable and it's not going to be something enjoyable for people to listen to. And yes, I will certainly post about this podcast and the new episodes, of course, that I'll be putting out on a regular basis on social media. But I'm not going to do the every episode a week thing. I can't. I can't do that with all this stuff that's going on in my life. And frankly, that's not just authentic. I like the goal for me with this new season and the podcast moving forward is this is a creative outlet for me to be able to, like I mentioned, share some thoughts and ideas and things. And when I kind of get the calling to talk about things, I will make an episode or I will make short form content like Instagram Reels on this page, on our Instagram page at Skatz Chats and Facebook and TikTok, but I'll just mainly be posting on Instagram. But I want this to be here and to be active for me to be able to just use it whenever I can. And hopefully you gain some inspiration from it. So I think that's great. And to share some inspiration that I have had in the past couple of days, really honestly just yesterday. So for context, I'm recording this on December 26th, and yesterday was Christmas. So, holiday season, I am off of work until the 5th, which is the Monday after New Year's week, so which is great. Yay! Happy about that, of course. But I was looking through some really, really old scrapbooks. I was at my mom's place, and my grandmother, who is now passed, she had these very old scrapbooks of our like family history and our ancestors dating back from like late 1800s, which was very, very cool. Very, very cool. And it was actually my great aunt who compiled all these pictures together and created this album. And I was looking through these scrapbooks of black and white pictures and all that. And I think, well, I have known that I'm an old soul. I've known that for my entire life. And I think just looking at these scrapbooks, I was like, wow, people, and this might sound so silly for some non-millennial and non-Gen Z audience that's listening to this, but wow, people lived without screens. People lived without like modern technology that we have now, and they survived and they thrived and they took physical photographs. And it wasn't all about how do you look on social media. Maybe there was still the notion with women that they needed to look a certain way to impress a man or whatever. But I was just thinking, man, although I am on my phone so much for this sometimes, for making reels for fun or for jazzercise or for just keeping up with friends and everything, I really don't want to be on my phone as much. Let me know. Send me a DM or an email or something. If you guys feel this way too, you could DM us on Skatz Chats on Instagram, or you could email me skatzchats@gmail.com. But sometimes, you guys, I'm just like, I don't want to be on my phone because once I get into that Reels page on Instagram and I just keep scrolling, it's almost like TikTok. Like, I know people did this on TikTok in 2020. I'm not on TikTok anymore, which is great. I think, I don't know, it's just one less platform for me to, doom scroll on, as they say. But once I get on the reels and I keep going, it really just messes with your brain. You know what I mean? It's like brain rotting. And so I posted this on my close friend story the other day. I have a little close friend story that, okay, side comment. See, no editing. I'm switching thoughts really fast. Another reason why I'm doing this podcast is because I post a lot of my thoughts in the moment on my close friend story. And I'm like, wait, I could do this on a podcast. I think some people could benefit from hearing this or be like, hey, I'm going through the same thing as you are in like a larger audience rather than just a select few people who are like my close friends on my close friend story. Such a Gen Z thing to say. Sorry, but I want to explain that that's another reason why I wanted to bring it back to podcast is so I can have a platform to talk your ear off. How about that? Mwahaha. Okay, water break. In all sincerity, raw, authentic, unfiltered, here you are, guys. Yay! I'm not going to do any editing because I don't have time for it. So here you go. Getting back to what we were talking about, scrapbooking, no technology, really needing a break from screens. That's what we were talking about. Screens and just how our brain is so affected by it, right? I know it's something that a lot of maybe therapists would talk about, a lot of articles or blogs would talk about how to better your mental health, which is stop scrolling in the morning or like don't check your phone in the morning. And it's so true. It really is true. And what I have done personally is I've gotten into a morning meditation routine for most of my days. It hasn't been every day. I didn't do it yesterday, but most of my days where yes, I have to pull out my phone to like bring up my podcast app. Podcast. Did I say podcast before? I mean meditation routine. Did I say that? I don't know. That's what I meant to say, friends. Meditation routine, morning meditation. So I need to pull out my phone to like pull up the meditation app so I can use it. And then I put my phone away. I don't look at it. But I honestly think that overusing our phone and our screens is so mentally draining for us. Even if you don't look at reels and see any particular content, but it's just the fact that we're looking at a screen for so long. Excuse me. And you know how every Sunday, especially if you have an iPhone owner, I don't know if Android users have this, but I get a report every Sunday about what the average daily usage, average daily screen time of my phone on, oops, I just played my music. Whoopsies. Pause that. An average amount of the daily usage of my phone of screen time, 6 hours. I look at my phone 6 hours in a day. 6 out of those 24 hours, I am like this. Isn't that crazy bonkers, you guys? Does anyone else agree with this? If you agree with this, please send me a note in the DMs on Instagram because I just think it's so crazy how much we look at our phones. And I know it's like I'm very late Gen Z. I am someone living in the 21st century. We can't really not have a smartphone. I mean, you can, but or just a phone in general. It's just so awful for us. And that's really the one thing that I want to share with you and focus on, bringing this all full circle. Don't worry, there's a point to this, is that I don't know if a lot of people have true presence in their lives. See, when I was looking back at those scrapbooks of old family and ancestors from the late 1800s all the way up to 1950s, they didn't have phones. Sure, they had TVs, in the mid 1900s in households. But I just feel like people were a lot more present, and I want you to think about that. Think about how much time you look at your phone. Think about how much time after work we spend staring at a TV screen. Also, you know what? Think about too. This is one of the reasons why, or really the main reason why I don't have a TV in my bedroom, is because if you think about it, especially for a living room, the room is structured around the TV. You have the TV mounted on the wall like it's a freaking plaque. You know what I mean? Like it's on a pedestal. And the couch is facing it. Your chairs are kind of facing it, right? Where you rest, where you live, is facing the TV. It's like you're like worshiping the screen. You know what I mean? Has anyone ever thought about this? I really hope so because it just doesn't seem right sometimes to me. It's like we are worshiping technology way too much. And now, when I say technology, also, I know that, like, for example, a record player back in the day, back in like the 1930s or 40s, was technology. And I get that, but it wasn't a screen like I'm seeing myself on the Zoom screen right now, not like I'm looking at my phone right now. It just was something, it was a piece of technology that still can allow for presence, allow space for presence. That's one of the reasons I want to get a record player in 2026 is because with a record player, it just allows for a more genuine music experience rather than just playing Spotify on your phone, which is great, but I just really want to get into that. So I challenge you out there to think about how much time you spend on screens or looking at screens, how much time you spend on reels, and I'm sure all you iPhone users, you probably get a notification on Sundays or whatever day of the week it is of how much time you spend on your phone, the average per day. And I guarantee you it will surprise you. And if not surprise you, maybe just give you a little bit of a wake up call. And honestly, that's okay, you know? And give yourself grace a little bit too, because like I said, we're living in the 21st century and our world is focused around screens, it's focused around phones. And, I just know some people who scroll in the morning and scroll at night and scroll while they're sitting on the couch with the TV on. I do that too, but I'm trying to do less of it. You know what I mean? I just want to be more aware of that so I can be more present in my life and enjoy things without screens. And I really think that me posting a lot on Instagram is affecting how present I am in the real world too, which we might table that subject for another podcast episode. But think about that too. I mean, if you're a Gen Z person like me, if you're a Gen Z listening to this right now, we have grown up with phones, you know? People like our parents' generation did not grow up with phones. And in which case, they might be able to better separate the time that they spend on their phone versus being in a real life one-on-one conversation with someone in person. They might be able to do that better. Well, I don't know if better is the right word, but they just didn't grow up without phones, so it's not the center of their universe like it might be for us Gen Z folks. You know what I mean? So I think that's just one thing that I want to implement in 2026 in terms of bringing back some sort of old traditions of the record player, of not being focused on phones so much. Something else that I want to bring into 2026 is writing letters to people in the mail. Now, this year for the holidays, I I think I sent almost 20 Christmas cards. One Hanukkah card to my friend for Hanukkah. Shout out Sarah, Sarah Shapiro. Um, but yeah, it really, really was wonderful to send physical season's greetings out to my friends and my loved ones. I think that's just wonderful. And I feel like it's so much more meaningful than a text, or, well, I think a call could be really meaningful too, just in a different form. But I really like the art of sending things in the mail. I think that's really wonderful. And I wanted to show you something also, something that I asked for Christmas. My best friend Sophia got this for me. I have to find a better case for it because it's just in a plastic thing. But she gave me, look at how cute this is. She gave me like stationery. So this is obviously the um paper that you write on, and then little matching envelopes on the back and with little stickers. So I'm gonna find some people to write to. Write a little cute little note or even, a love note to a loved one or something like that. And maybe I'll get a couple of pen pals. Who knows? But that's something else too that I want to bring back that's kind of more of a old-fashioned tradition that a lot of people really don't do anymore. And honestly, what we get in the mail, what I get in the mail is like, bills, the grocery store ads, credit card offers, other sort of like physical ads just in the mail, but not a lot of like fun stuff. Well, I think the fun stuff that I get is like Amazon packages that I don't remember what they are, or things that I order online that ship, that don't ship until like a couple weeks after. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I ordered this. Oh, fun, I got something in the mail. You know what I mean? But other than that, it's like we really don't get personal one-on-one correspondence in the mail. And I just really want to bring that back. I love to send out that kind of stuff to people, whether it is leaving a little post-it note on someone's, desk, or I don't know, like leaving, I don't know, like what else have I done? I'm trying to think of little things that I've done. Sometimes during college, I would write like a cute little affirmation on a post-it note and then post it in the women's bathroom. And, if anyone sees it walking by, they could be like, oh, that's nice. Or it could really, really, really impact someone's day. Maybe someone had a really, really awful day and they really, really needed to see that note. And so that's what I think this is all about too, is making that impact, those types of impact, that type of impact with people, and really just bring a lot of humanity back to our lives. And I feel like with social media there are pros and cons, but I think a lot of it, because there's so much correspondence on a screen, that we kind of lose that humanity aspect to communicating and sharing things with people. Whereas if it's a physical thing that that I wrote and is directed to you, and I made the effort to buy the stamp, to go to the post office, to send my love and my thoughts and my care to you, that's so much more meaningful, you know? Just want to bring a lot of meaning and humanity and authenticity into this new year and just into the rest of my life, because I think that we all could need it. We all could need it. We all could use it and we all need it, especially around this time too. It's a very uncertain time in a lot of ways. But no matter what's going on in our worlds, our individual world or the broader community, we all need love and appreciation and respect. You know what I mean? And speaking of, I guess, sharing love with people as well, I remember when I was the couple of relationships, short term rather, that I've had, romantic relationships, I would make an effort to like write something on a little post-it note like this, just like write something and put it on their desk, like when I left their house or something, and then see when they would discover it on their desk like a week later, and they would send me a picture and be like, "Oh, it's really sweet of you." And I just really, really like to do that. It means a lot to me to know, it means a lot to me in knowing that it meant a lot to them. You know what I mean? And speaking of love as well, I've had some, experiences with romantic love this past year, and I'm currently single now, of course, and always still looking out for my future person. But I think one phrase that has stuck around for probably decades is the quote being unlucky in love, quote unquote. And if you feel out there like you are unlucky in love, which I have felt at times for sure, knowing that I've had some relationships, haven't worked out, like I'm still single, it's really not true. I really don't think that the unlucky in love is an actual thing. And you know why, my friends? It is because with every single relationship, whether that is in the talking stage with someone, whether that's a situationship that you may have, whether you actually date this person and you become serious, you become exclusive, you get, the boyfriend, girlfriend title, whatever, whatever, you're engaged, you're married, whatever the situation may be, my friends, you are not unlucky in love because of the relationships that have failed, quote unquote. And I say that with quotes because that's what I would always tell myself. This relationship failed. I was a failure in this relationship. That's what I would tell myself. But that's not true. Relationships, they don't fail, they just end. And it's because you realize that this was not the situation that was meant for you. Number one. And number two, the really, really wonderful benefit from every single relationship that you're in is that you learn something more about yourself and you learn a lot more about what you want and what you're looking for. I feel like even though, like I said, I've been in a few relationships, um, albeit short term, but I have learned so much of what I'm looking for, what I'm not looking for. I have learned to recognize signs of things that I can recognize that I'm not looking for earlier on. You know what I mean? I'm not going to call them red flags because that's subjective to anyone. I could have a red flag that another person may not find as a red flag, may find as like a beige flag, right? But I have just built a better radar for myself in terms of recognizing the things earlier in the relationship that do not work for me. You know what I mean? And I found out more about myself and what I could bring to the table, and maybe a couple of flaws on my end where I might have been, excuse me, I might have been rushing the relationship too much because when I was first starting out with dating, I was like, okay, cool. Like, because I'm so left brain that I'm like, okay, at the 2 month mark, we're going to be exclusive. And then when we get to 3 months, we should be boyfriend and girlfriend. Like that's not how it works. And obviously, I thought that's how it worked when I was younger and dating, and that's just not what it is. Every relationship has its own timeline, and there's no rush to anything. But all in all, just to wrap up this episode and to wrap up my thoughts on this also, I just don't like the whole unlucky in love. I feel like I have been lucky in love. Lucky, not unlucky, because throughout all of my relationships, I know what I want and I know what I deserve, and I'm not going to settle for anything less than that. And I want to be clear also, I have seen some Instagram reels that, you know, that pretty much portray that men should be always the one who pays every single time, no matter what the occasion, and just really have to do all the heavy lifting. And I don't think that is true. I think that for me personally, and everyone has different thoughts on this, that it's nice when a man courts a little bit and pursues a little bit. And then once things get serious, then it's equal effort putting into this relationship. I don't believe that the man or the masculine person should be doing all the heavy lifting. It always should be an equal effort. That's just my opinion. Feel free to challenge me on that. But that is what I have seen on Reels a lot of times, and that's not what I'm looking for. I don't think that should be the norm. But I know how I deserve to be treated. That's for sure. Let me tell you that. I know how I deserve to be treated, and I just know that I will not settle, and that's okay. You know, like I said, I feel lucky in love that I have had experiences and I've come to this realization, and I know what I should be expecting from a future partner. And because I date intentionally as well, I don't date just to for the fun of it. Although, yes, dating is fun, but I want to get somewhere with dating. I would love to have a lifelong partner. But we can go into detail about that in another episode. That's just something that I want to communicate to you. If you felt like you are unlucky in love, and especially with the holiday season could be a huge, much larger, potent, a very, let's say, sensitive time for us single folk of maybe realizing, hey, I'm single. Thanks, family, for the reminder. Why are you asking me if I'm still single? That has not happened to me, but it may happen to you in your family dynamic. I don't know. But if that is going on, then I just want to remind you that you are not unlucky in love. You are lucky in love. And as long as you're doing the work on yourself and being very self-aware with who you are and what you could bring to the table, and that's all that matters. The most important thing is to take care of yourself because, as I've always said throughout every single episode of Skatz Chats, I'm sure, is that no matter who we are with romantically, who our friends are, who our family is, we are always with ourselves. From the moment we're born to the moment we die, my friends. I know it sounds morbid. I know. But it's so true. So we have to be our own priority. We really need to put ourselves as number one, as our first priority, and we need to take care of ourselves, no matter what that looks like, honestly. So I will leave you with that. I really, really hope that you all had a wonderful holiday season, and Happy New Year to you all as well. I imagine this will probably be released, honestly, probably tonight because it's Friday night and I am just home. So, like I mentioned, look out for any new Skatz Chats episodes. I might even record one before we hit 2026 as well, but I'm not going to be releasing these on a weekly basis or a regular basis. It's just going to be when I have time and when I want to share something with you and just to share some thoughts and personal stories and things that hopefully could inspire you throughout the year and throughout the time to come. So thank you for sticking with me. Really, really appreciate it. DM me. Feel free to DM me at Skatz Chats on Instagram if you love this, if you have something to share about this episode. Share this episode with your friends if you think that they would enjoy it too. And you could also email me, skatzchats@gmail.com. If you have any particular podcast episode topics as well, feel free to shoot that my way too. I'm happy to chat about anything. If you want to come on the podcast, sure. Like this season and this podcast is just going to be loosey-goosey from now on. I don't care. I'm not going to like make it a whole big production. Just we're here to spread inspiration and positivity and love and humanity and authenticity to you. So I hope you enjoyed this episode and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye. Thanks for listening to Skatz Chats. Like what you heard? Follow us on Instagram at Skatz Chats and share with a friend. Special thanks to NK Arts who designed our logo, Daddy Lakis for writing and producing our theme song, and to Joe Papadenitz for our branding photos. See you in the next episode!